Hello everybody, welcome. It is Juliet here. We are today going to be making this gorgeous earring that I am calling the Mystic Circle earring, and I think it's really cool, and I just love how this came out. I think it's really pretty, and it's using some GemDuos, which I don't use them. I have a whole bunch and I never use them. But anyway, all of the beads for this gorgeous project came out of the Mystic Tides collection from Eureka Crystal Beads. And that just came out yesterday. If you haven't seen the unboxing on my channel, you should go and check that out. Okay, it's the video right before this one. Anyway, absolutely gorgeous beads in it. So all of the supplies are, like I said, coming out of that collection. And I do have a discount code for you that you can use, which is Jules 15, and that'll get you 15% off your order, okay? Anyway, so you may have some of these supplies, or you may just want to go, you can, if you go and look at the collection, you can order just certain things, like down below it has a list and you can click and order certain things if you're, you want something and you're missing it, whatever. So I will quickly run through what we are using today. So first of all, over here, we have some 2mm by 3mm rondelles. These are the Chinese crystal rondelles that came in our box. And so they are 2mm stringing length by 3mm wide, okay? Just faceted rondelles, and then we're using some GemDuos, and these are the Backlit Spectrum color, so they have a whole rainbow in there. Obviously you can use another color if you have other colors, but I just love this rainbow effect in these. It's so pretty. And then here I'm using some 15-0 seed beads. These are Toho, sorry, not 15-0, 11-0 seed beads. These are Toho, and these are silver lined amethyst. Again, they came in our box. So the item number is TR1126C, okay? You could probably use Miyuki. However, around the edge you may have a tiny bit of gappiness if you do use Miyuki, just because the Tohos are ever so slightly larger, okay? Then we have this absolutely gorgeous 12mm Rivoli that we'll be using up here in the top, right up here, okay? Then here I have 5 of our little half Tilas, and that's the code of the color that we are using there, HTL2405FR, this beautiful color, which unfortunately you don't even see it. This is actually on the back. It's part of our bezel on the back, okay? However, I'm going to be making another project at some point, so I'm probably going to use them in that as well. Just a beautiful color. Then here we have some 3mm Preciosa crystals that came in a mix of different sizes in our collection. So I just picked out these turquoise 3mm ones, okay? And then I have a mixture of the 15-0s out of our seed bead mix here that we got that has all different, it has 6s, 8s, 11s, but I picked out a bunch of the 15s. So the 15s, we have these little blue ones here, and then we have these little pink ones here. And I am really sorry, I have no idea what the colors are. I can't tell you that. But I mean, you can change the colors, use whatever you want. And then I thought it would be fun to add our little vignette drop on the bottom here, which I have done. And I'm using obviously the French earring wire and a Jumpring that all came in our collection as well, which is really handy. So anyway, the first thing we're going to do is we're going to do this bezel, and then we're going to add this ring and embellish the ring. And I mean, it's nice because it has a little bit of dimensionality to it. As you can see here, it's not completely flat, and it, it's pretty rigid. Like you can bend it a little bit, but it holds its shape, okay? So you don't need to worry about it collapsing on you. I am using Fireline 6 pound, and I think that helps. I tried making one with Miyuki, and it was a little bit more bendy than this one, so I would recommend using Fireline just for the sturdiness. I wouldn't step up in size to like an 8, because then you might struggle getting through the 15 O's. Okay, so I would recommend a size 6 Fireline. Okay, so to begin, we are actually going to begin with our Tilas, and you're going to need 5. And you may not realize that Tilas actually do have a top and a bottom on them. So if I hold this like this, can you see how the side at the top is a little bit more curved than the side at the bottom of the screen? Okay, so what I like to do is I'm going to lay all of my Tilas upside down. So just take a second and figure out like what's the top, what's the bottom, and I'm going to lay them all so that they are upside down on my mat. I mean, this doesn't really matter. Nobody's going to notice that much, but I just like things to be correct. Okay, so that is the bottom of all of them. So I've got them all laid out upside down, and we're just going to pick up all 5 of them on our needle in a line. So make sure that when you're picking them up on the bottom, you're kind of going through the, so in theory, all of my tops are here and all of my bottoms are here. Okay, so pick up all 5. Push down, leave your 4-inch tail so you can weave in at the end. And I am using quite a long piece of thread. I'm using a wingspan today, which should allow me to do the whole thing in one piece. Okay. Go through that first bead again in order to form a ring. Okay. And I actually like to go through all of them again, just to make sure that the ring is holding in place. And I've actually flipped this over, so these are on the front right now, but I'm going to flip it back over to the back in a minute, because I want the back on the inside of my bezel, not the front. Okay, and then I go through that very first one again, so that when you're holding it, your tail should come out one side of one of them, and your working thread is coming out the other. Okay, I'm going to flip over now so that I'm working in the right way. Okay, so this is the back side of my Tilas that I'm on, okay? And we're going to add some 15 O's in between. So you're going to pick up 2 of your 15 O's, and I'm using the blue ones. I'm coming out from this Tila here, so I'm going to go into the top of the next Tila. Okay, and I'm just working in a counterclockwise direction because I'm right-handed, and that is my natural instinct. Okay, sorry, these are scrunching up. Okay, then we're going to pick up 2 more, and you're going to go down into the bottom of the next. So I'm coming out this one, I'm going into the bottom of the next Tila, or half Tila, I should say. Then I'm picking up 2 more, and I'm going into the top of the next half Tila. Okay, and then pick up 2 more coming out the top, so I'm going into the bottom of the next Tila. Then I'm coming out the bottom here, so I'm going to pick up 2, and I'm going to into the top of the next Tila. Okay. Okay, so it should look really strange like this at the moment, okay? But we're back to kind of where we started. So here, I've already added these 2 coming out the bottom of this Tila, so I'm just going to pick up 1. I'm going to sew down into the second one. So they're kind of going upwards. So I'm going down into the bottom seed bead right here, and then I'm going through the next Tila. And that is going to make a little triangle like this, okay? So now I'm coming out the bottom. I'm gonna sew up through the bottom 15-0 right here. And then I'm going to add one more 15-0, and I'm gonna sew into the top of the next Tila. So now I have my little triangle here, okay? And I'm gonna repeat this 3 more times. So pick up 1, go down into the bottom of the next 15-0 and through the next Tila. And then I go up through the bottom 15-0 that is here. And pick up 1 15-0 and I go into the top of that Tila. And here I am about to add my very last 15-0. Pick up 15-0 and you're going into that bottom 15-0, so downwards into that 15-0, so through the bottom of the next Tila. Okay, so you should now have 3 15-0s between each Tila like this. Okay, so we're going to sew up through the next 15-0. So up means out of the circle, okay, towards the, and we're going to sew through the 15-0, the next Tila, and the next 15-0. Like this, okay. Then we're going to pick up an 11-0. So I'm using, like I said, I'm using Tohos, and these are slightly larger than Miyuki, okay? I am going through the next 15-0, the next Tila, and the next 15-0, which I'll pick up in a second. So you're going through the 15-0, the Tila, and the next 15-0 that's at the top, okay? You're going to pick up another 11-0, and then you're going to do the same thing, go through 15-0, Tila, 15-0. This, okay? And you're going to repeat this until you have 5 15-0s, sorry, 5 11-0s added in. So just go all the way around, adding those 11s between those outermost 15-0s. Okay, so I'm about to add my very last 11-0 in. I'm going to go through the 15-0, the next 15-0, so through the 15-0, the Tila, 15-0, and the next 11-0. Okay, so you should now have a little disc like this, and that is going to protect the back of our Rivoli so that it is nice and safe, okay? All right, and you should be on the back, yeah, that's the front side, has a little bit more curve to it, okay? So this should be like the back side of your half Tilas. Okay. So now we are going to pick up 5 11-0s. Okay, so 5 11-0s, and you're going to sew into the very next 11-0. And it's going to create a little loop like this. Okay, and we're going to do that all the way around. So just pick up 5, go into the next 11-0, and repeat. And when you add your very last group, you're going to just sew through that 15-0 that's between those, sew through the 11-0 that's between the 15-0s, just like you have been doing. So you should have a kind of flower shape like this. Okay, so now we're going to step up through the first 3 11s on the edge of the petal there. So just sew up through them so that you're coming out from that middle one. The third one is the middle, okay? And you're going to pick up one of your 2mm faceted rondelles, one of your 3mm crystals, and a 2mm faceted rondelle, okay? And you're going to sew into the very next middle 11-0, which should be, if you're counting from the bottom, it's going to be the 4th one. If you're just counting from here, it's the 3rd one, okay? So you're going to sew into that, and you're going to pull upwards, kind of start to pull this wall upwards, okay? So again, you're going to pick up a rondelle, a crystal, and a rondelle, and you're going to sew through the next flower center, okay, petal center, and again you're pulling upwards. So you see how it's cupping upwards. We're making a kind of well for our rivoli to sit in, okay? So go ahead and repeat 3 more times. Sorry, we've done 2. So now we've done 3. Okay, and our last group, we are going to sew into that 11-0 that's right there. Plus you can go ahead and sew through the rondelle, the crystal, and the rondelle just to help close up that circle. And when you pull, you're going to pull everything inwards, okay? Kind of try and get any slack that's there out of the way. Be careful working with your crystals that you don't cut your thread, okay? You're going to have to always pull the direction of the line of the hole. Don't pull against the flow of the beads, okay? All right, so now we're going to add a 15-0 in between wherever we have an 11-0. So we're just going to add a 15-0 in between our rondelle, our crystal, and our rondelle. So go ahead and add 1, and then you're going to need to pop your rivoli in, actually. So let me do that really quickly because we're going to start tightening up around it, okay? So it should fit in quite loosely at the moment, okay? But just hold it in place with your fingernail. And as you're doing this round, you're going to start pulling inwards. So I'm using these little pink ones. So you're again picking up a 15-0, you're going through rondelle, crystal, rondelle. So we're skipping that 11-0 that's down there, okay? And you're pulling inwards. And it's still not going to hold in at the end of this round. We're going to have to do something else as well, but for now, just try and get it to tighten in a bit, okay? So you should be adding a total of 5 15-0s. I just love this color scheme. It's so pretty. Okay, here is my last 15-0. There's my first one there. Okay, so I'm going to go through rondelle, crystal, rondelle, pull everything inwards, and you'll see my rivoli is still not held in yet, so just be really careful that it doesn't fall out, okay? Okay, so sew forward so that you are coming out from the crystal. And this is where you're going to have to be extra careful not to accidentally cut your thread, okay? You're going to pick up a 15, so I'm still using my pink ones, okay? I'm gonna pick up an 11 and a 15. So 15, 11, 15, and I'm going straight into the next crystal. So I'm skipping the rondelle, the 15-0, and the next rondelle. So I'm going from crystal to crystal, and here I'm being super careful not to cut my thread. And you're pulling inwards, gently pulling. Make sure you're kind of pulling with the line of the hole, okay, in the same direction so you don't cut your thread, right? So 15, 11, 15, again, going through the next crystal. And I'm gently pulling inwards, and this is holding, you can see it's now really holding my rivoli in, okay? So this is what's going to kind of hold it in there for you. Okay, 15, 11, 15, again through the crystal. Again, I'm being super careful here. Okay, and I'm about to add my last 15-0, 11, and 15-0, and so into the next crystal. Okay, so there we have that. Now I highly recommend that you go around again and reinforce this just so that you know that everything is nice and tight, and it also helps to flatten out these lines, okay? So I'm gonna just go around again off camera and I'll be back in a second. Okay, so I have gone around again and just reinforced that, and I feel like everything in that central ring feels tight now, okay? So I'm exiting from one of my crystals, and I am going to pass down through the next rondelle. And the next 11-0. So there's the 15-0 above it. I'm going into the 11-0 that is below it, okay? And then I'm going through the first 11-0 after that upper 11-0, okay? So just the first one. We still have another one, and then the bottom one, and then another. So I'm coming out that first one. I'm going to pick up one of my GemDuos, and you want to make sure that you're picking it up so that it's going to be the right way up, okay? So make sure when you know, don't accidentally go through the other hole and then it'll go that way. Make sure you're putting it on the right way up. So I'm coming out the second 11 right here. I'm going to go into the second 11 right here. Okay, so it should be right below one of your crystals here. Okay, should be where it is. And then you're going to go up through the next 11-0, which is like the top corner 11-0, okay? You're going to pass down through the next 3 11-0s. So you're going all the way down to the base, okay? You're going to pass up through the next 3 11-0s. And then you're going to go down 1 extra 11-0. So you're coming out again from the second 11-0, going downwards, okay? So what we want to do is we want to put our 2 GemDuos should be next to like the lower 2 crystals, okay? So you're skipping one and then you're putting a GemDuo here, okay? So go ahead, pick up your next GemDuo. You might want to check the holes on your GemDuos as well, just to make sure you don't accidentally pick one up and then have to pull everything out. So just check your holes before you put them on. And then here, I'm coming out the second, so there's my top 11-0 right here. There's my second one. I'm coming out the second one. I'm going to go into the second one here and up through that top one. Okay. And right now these are just kind of loose and, you know, but so you should have them in place like this. Okay. Go ahead, continue on down through the next 3 11-0s, and then up the next 3 11-0s. So you should be coming out the one at the very top right now that is between the top crystals. Okay, and we're going to add on a little hanging loop so we can hang our earring. So to do that, we're going to pick up 4 of our 11-0s. And we're going to sew through the 11-0 that we're coming out of again to make a ring, okay? And then you're going to sew up through the first 11-0 on the ring. Sorry. Okay, so come out from the first one of the 4, pick up one of your 15-0s. Again, I'm using the pink ones here. I'm going into the next 11-0. And you're just going to add 1 15-0 in those 3 gaps. So pick up another 15-0, go into the next bead, another 15-0, go into the next bead, and you can go down into the base bead there, okay? And we are going to circle around here again so we can reinforce when we come back up to pass over, okay? So for now, that's good enough. You don't need to continue reinforcing right now. It'll be good to have a new thread coming from inside and going away as well, okay? All right, so here we are. We're coming out from our 11-0 here. I'm going to go down through the next 3. Up through the next 3. Down through the next one and go through the GemDuo. Okay, so you should be coming out at the bottom of your GemDuo, okay? You're going to pick up 3 15-0s, and here I'm using the blue ones. Okay, so pick up 3 of your 15-0s. So we're coming out like on the bottom, okay, on the inside of our GemDuo. We're going to pass up through the second hole, the outer hole, like so, okay? And here we are going to pick up 3 of our 11-0s on the top. Okay, so 3 11-0s. And you're going to go down the inner hole. Okay, so it looks like this at the moment. You're going to pass through our 3 little 15-0s here. And on all the other spots, we're actually going to add 4 15-0s. It's just on this inner one, we only have room for 3, okay? I know it doesn't look like that at the moment, but trust me. Okay, so we're going to pick up one of our rondelles, okay? Then you're going to pick up another GemDuo, and you're going to have to like figure out which way you need to go through. So you might want to lay it down and figure out how you're going through that hole, okay? So you're going up into it like this, okay? Then you're going to pick up a 15-0, so I'm using my little pink ones, okay? A rondelle again, rondelle, okay, and another 15-0. So I'm doing a pink, a rondelle, and a pink, and I am going through down through the outer hole of my GemDuo right here, like this. Okay, so that's attached on. I'm going to go through this rondelle right here. And then I'm going to pick up 4 of my blue 15-0s. Oops, picked up 5. Okay, 4 of my blue ones. I'm going to go up through the outer hole here. I'm going to pick up 3 of my 11-0s. I'm going down through the inner hole here. And this is, right now, it's gonna feel quite loose and wobbly. Don't worry about that. We're gonna sort that out. You're gonna pass through your 4 15-0s that are on the bottom there, okay? And you're gonna repeat. So you're going to, again, pick up a rondelle. You're gonna figure out how you're supposed to sew through your GemDuo here. So I'm got to go through this way. You're going to pick up a 15-0, a rondelle, and a 15-0. You're going to go into the end of the previous round duo, GemDuo, sorry. You're going to go through your rondelle. And you're going to pick up, and when you're doing this, try and encourage it to start curving around in a curve, okay? So you're going to pick up your 4 15-0s, your 3 11s, go down, pass through. Then you're going to repeat rondelle, and then up at the top you have 15-0, rondelle, 15. So you're going to repeat until you have 6 attached, and I'll come back when I have my 6th one on, because we have to join onto our 7th one over here, okay? So you're going to have a total of 7, but we need to just attach the first 6, okay? Okay, I'm back. So I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 on this side, 1 on this side. And so you've been going through your blue, you're adding your blue, you're adding your 11s, you're adding a rondelle, an 15, rondelle 15, going down, pass through the rondelle, and then add your blue and your 11s, and then rondelle, pass through your new GemDuo, and then 15, rondelle 15, go down. Okay, so you should be coming out from the blue, the line of blue, ready to add another GemDuo on. Okay, so you're just going to pick up your rondelle. You're going to sew into the GemDuo that's already here. So when you're picking it up, it's already right there. Okay, and then you're going to pick up your 15, your rondelle, and your 15. You're going through the first rondelle that you started in. Okay, you're going to pass through the second rondelle. You're only picking up 3 of your 15-0s. Okay, you're going to go up into the bottom, from the bottom into that GemDuo. And then you're going to pick up your 3 11s for the top and go down. Okay, so you should now have this, and it's very loose, a little bit wobbly. That's normal, okay? Don't fret about that. You're going to go through your bottom 3 15s again. And then you're going to pass through your GemDuo. And then you're going to pass up into your seed beads, and you're going to go around the 11 O's. Just follow the line of 11 O's, okay? So you're kind of zigzagging up, down. When you get up to the top, we're going to reinforce our loop. So just sew around the loop. And when you get back to the bottom, just continue sewing on forward through all of those 11 O's, the zigzags, okay? Going up and down from the base. And when you get to the first one before your GemDuo, you're going to stop right there, okay? So now we're going to sew around this outside to kind of reinforce it. And also you're going to want to kind of pull in just a tiny bit, but not a lot. So if you're super tight beater, you need to kind of relax here. Okay, so you're going through your 3 11s and then your 15, your rondelle, your 15, and we're just going to sew around the entire outside section to kind of tighten all of this up a little bit. And if you start to pull in really, really tight, you may have an issue where your middle is going to start, these beads will start crunching. Okay, so there's a fine balance to be met here between pulling too tight and then just tightening. Okay, so it should, just the act of sewing through them, kind of pull in enough, but you kind of want to just make sure that it's still sitting relatively flat, okay? And we will be adding more in here, so don't worry if you think it's like super gappy. That's okay. You just kind of want it to be flat, okay? So don't, like I said, don't pull super tight, but you do want to get rid of any very large gaps that are there, okay? Okay, and when you get back to the beginning, you're going to sew up into those first 2 11s that are above your GemDuo, okay? So sew through those. So we just want to make sure that this line of beads is attached on in both places here, okay? And then I'm kind of trying to relax a little bit here. We're going to turn around and we're going to sew through the inner row now, okay? So you're going to have to pass all the way over through all these beads and down through your GemDuo on the other side. And this is actually quite good to reinforce these because they're kind of the main structure of our bezel, so it doesn't hurt to have to sew around these again, okay? So just pass all the way around one more time. And when you get back to the beginning, make sure you go through that 11 there and then down through your GemDuo, okay? And then we're going to pass through all of our blue beads and our rondelles and kind of slightly tighten up that inner row. So as long as you haven't pulled too tight on your outer row, your inner row should be able to stay flat. Okay, so when you get back to passing through those last 3 15 O's, you're going to pass up through your GemDuo like this, okay? So if it's not completely flat, you want it to kind of curve outwards, like so that the outside bit kind of goes back, okay? So if it has to curve, you don't want it flipping up inwards, you want it flipping outwards a little bit, okay? And actually on this one here, you'll see it does a little bit curve inwards, but then we add this embellishment, which helps it kind of look a little bit flatter. Okay, so you can kind of massage it to try and get it with a good tension. Okay. All right, so we're going to turn and we're going to go back the other way. So pass through, we're coming out this corner. We're going to pass through our 3 11 O's at the top here. And then we are going to pick up 3 of our 15 O's and 1 11 O. Okay, so I'm coming out here. I'm going to sew back towards the direction I'm coming from. So I was coming down here. I'm sewing back towards where I was coming from through this inner rondelle like this. Okay. And these beads are going to sit like this. Then you're going to pass, so I'm coming out on this side of the rondelle here. You're going to sew up through that 11O that you just added at the bottom. Remember, we picked up 3 15s and an 11. Kind of push that 11 down towards your rondelle. And then you're going to pick up 3 more of your 15s, okay? And you're going to go through the next 3 11Os. So we're totally skipping these 15Os that are next to that rondelle, okay? And it's going to create a little sort of frame around our rondelle right here, okay? So go through those 3 11s, and then you're just going to repeat the same thing again. So you're going to pick up 3 plus an 11, okay? So three 15s and an 11. You're coming out right here. So I'm going backwards through my rondelle back towards the direction I was coming from. And then you go up through that bottom 11 that you just added. And then you're going to add your 3 15s. And I'm going to need to get some more 15s out. I'm about to run out of my pink ones. Okay, so it should be adding a little embellishment that looks like that around the edge, okay? When you get down to this 4th one, you're going to stop coming out the middle, and we're going to add, this is optional, you don't have to do this, we're going to add a little loop to hang our little drop from, okay? So stop when you come out of the middle of that 4th GemDuo, okay? So I'm going to continue on, and I'll come back when I get to there. Okay, so I've done these ones, and I've picked out some more 15Os, so I should have enough now. Okay, just check your tension on those, make sure you don't have any slack in there, okay? So I'm coming out from my second of the group of 3 right here, okay? I'm coming out from the second bead, and we're going to now add our little loop. So I'm going to pick up 5 of my 15Os, and for this I'm using my pink ones, but you can use whichever. Okay, so 5. And I'm going to sew into the other side of the same bead that I'm coming out from right now, okay? Then you're going to go ahead, sew through that first bead that you just added. You're going to pick up one more 15-0, and you're going to go into the second bead. Sorry, my tails are all in the way here. Okay. You're going to, and that should actually pop, that second bead should kind of pop out a little bit that you just added, okay? You're going to skip the next bead, and then you're going to sew into the very next bead. And again, that should pop out that end bead. If it's not popping out, you can grab it with your needle and push it to the back of the thread, sorry, to the front of the thread, and then pull the thread and it should pop out like this, okay? See how it's kind of sticking out right here? And then I'm going to pick up one more bead, and I'm going into the last 15-0 and into that middle 11-0 where we started, okay? My popping out does not want to pop right here for some reason. Come on, buddy. All right, here we go. Okay, so that is our little bottom hanging loop, okay? And then we're going to just continue on. So pass through that next 11-0 and continue on adding this embellishment here. So remember, you're picking up your 3 15-0s and 1 11-0. You're going backwards through that inner rondelle, okay? And then you're going out through that 11-0. Kind of push it all down and pick up the next 3 15s and straight into the next 3 11-0s. And then just make sure that all of that is pulled and bunched up nicely before you move on, okay? So continue doing your embellishment, and then you're more or less done, and we're just going to sew in our tail, and we can add on our findings, and then we have our earrings, okay? So I'll just finish this off and then I'll come back. Okay, so I have finished doing those side embellishments, and I am just coming out from my last 11-0 right here. I'm going to sew up into that 11-0 that we're joined onto, plus the next 11-0, and give that a pull. Yeah, looks good. Okay, and here you might want to just massage it so that it's shaped the way you want it to be, and then we're going to just tie in our thread. So my tail is here, and I think if I sew around this way I can actually come down and meet it, so that's what I'm going to do. So I'm going to sew through these next few 11-0 beads right here. I'm going to cut through this 15-0 half Tila and 15-0, and then as I'm coming out this 15-0, I can just sew straight down into that 15-0 there, and then through the half Tila and meet up with my end, and I'm going to tie them together and sew them in. Okay, just tie a square knot. And I will sew one of my threads away through this half Tila. I will sew the other thread away through that half Tila and then cut them off, okay? Okay, I'm back, and I just want to show you, it will curve a bit upwards. You can see here how the back of the the GemDuos are slightly like cupped. Okay, that is normal, but from the front it looks absolutely fine. Okay, so I'm just gonna grab a plier here. Oh, actually, I'm gonna grab a round nose. What I did on this one is I slightly rounded out the end of my French wire before I put it in. So I just kind of opened it up and then pulled a little bit more around my plier just to make this gap a little bit larger. Okay, and then you can just twist it open to the side and pop it through and twist it closed. Okay, and then I'm going to add my drop on the bottom here. All right, so I'm just going to pop that in there. Grab my little drop. Doesn't matter, they're double-sided, so it doesn't matter what is the front or the back. Close that up. And again, I'm kind of giving it a wiggle and pushing inwards. Okay, there is my other earring. So here they are, our Mystic Circle earrings. I think they came out really nice. I love the way they look. Hopefully you do too, and hopefully you try these. They're a lot of fun. Once you kind of got the general idea, you know, it's fun to make, and you can experiment with the colors as well. But I mean, I think these look really cool with these blues and purples from the box, so from the collection, I should say. So anyway, let me know what you think, and make sure that if you do go and look at the Mystic Tides box and you want to save 15%, make sure you do use that code that I mentioned, Jules15. Okay? All right, guys, I'll see you in the next video. Bye for now.